Tarte Tatin is a French upside-down apple tart. Now, I've taken liberties, and instead of a tarte tatin, I've created a torte tatin. In other words, an upside-down apple cake. Except you can use any fruit you like. I've used pears today because they were so beautiful at the market as we go into the fall season. But in summertime, go ahead and use any kind of stone fruit like nectarines or peaches, or in the spring you can use fresh berries. And the beautiful thing about this is not only does it take just minutes to prepare, you can make it gluten-free. So the base of this cake is made out of olive oil and almond meal, held together with any kind of flour, whether you use a all-purpose flour or a gluten-free flour or oat flour. It comes together, works every single time. It is one of the easiest, most delicate, moist, delicious cakes you'll ever make, and I hope you'll give it a try today. I'm going to show you how to make it right now. Okay, to start, we're going to start. All right, to start, we're going to cut up our fruit. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can use apples, you can use pears. This is such a perfect dessert for fall, and we are coming into fall, even though today doesn't feel like it. So I've got some beautiful pears here, and we're going to slice these up. We'll get all the fruit cut up first. Try to keep it all together like this so we can just sort of fan it out, kind of like this in the pan. I love any fall dessert made with pears or apples. Now, pears are a little bit more buttery. They're going to kind of melt in your mouth as they cook. Apples will have a little bit more texture. Either one is absolutely delicious. Okay, now the chef's got to try the fruit. Oh, that's really good. It is indeed pear season. The rest of these will go to the chickens. Okay, it's time to lay them in my pan. You want a 9-inch cake pan. You can use a pie tin if you like. What I like to do is put a sheet of parchment at the bottom. You can buy these parchment circles, or you can just cut them yourself and put them there. And that'll keep the fruit from sticking to the bottom of the pan. I'm going to squirt it with some olive oil and brush some olive oil on the side as well too. The fruit's going to go on the bottom, and the whole thing is going to get turned upside down. And now we're going to put some brown sugar on the bottom. You can use coconut sugar as well too. You want something that will sort of caramelize. So you're going to need 3 or 4 tablespoons of this. And this is going to melt into the fruit and be absolutely delicious, adding some of that caramelized flavor. Now we're going to put the pears in here, and as you can see, I'm just sort of fanning these out. And they're going to shrink, by the way, so you need a lot of fruit. So I've got 4 pears going into here. If you want to change direction like this, that's okay. And you know, if you just want to throw them in there and not be so careful, that's okay too. Now, don't be afraid to crowd this, because these will shrink. You'd be surprised. I think we might have enough now. We're going to set that aside, and now we're going to go to making the cake batter, which comes together in seconds. All right, I'm going to start out with a 1/2 cup of olive oil, extra virgin, of course, and 2/3 cup organic sugar. And we're just going to give that a stir. I forgot to sift the flour. So I have a cup of flour. You can make this cake entirely gluten-free. So I've been very successful with Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour, as well as oat flour. This is all-purpose, but go ahead and make it gluten-free if you like. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of baking powder right to my flour. And then we're just going to sift that so that it's completely combined. We're going to add the almond flour. I've got 3/4 cup almond flour, almond meal, same thing. And I'm going to add a cup of soy milk or almond milk, whatever milk you like, oat milk as well. I'm going to add 1/2 of this. And I'm going to add about 1/2 the flour. Whisking well the entire time. I'm going to add the rest of the milk. and the rest of the flour. I add a half at a time just to make the mixing easier so it doesn't clump. Okay, now I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of vanilla, and that is my dough, or my batter, I should say. And now we're ready to pour this over the pears, and we're gonna put it in the oven. All right, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And what we're gonna do is put this in the bottom rack of the oven. If you have a stone that you can put in your oven prior to putting this in there, that's even better. Put it directly on your stone, because that will encourage the caramelization of the fruit at the bottom. So when you flip the cake over, it is a beautiful golden brown color. My oven comes with a stone, so it's already in there. I'm gonna put that directly on the stone. I'm gonna close it, and we're just gonna bake it for about 30 minutes. While the cake is in the oven for 30 minutes, let's go down and give these scraps that I've been accumulating to the chickens. This is our glorious chicken coop. We call it the aviary. And we actually have chickens in several places in the sanctuary because you have to have a certain ratio of roosters to hens. They have a little door there so they can come and go as they please. It's just amazing how, especially these white leghorns that were all layers and so sick when they first arrived, or how well they're doing. Oh, how about a tomato? You guys want tomatoes? One of the questions we get asked a lot is, what do you do with the eggs? What we do with the eggs is we feed them back to the chickens. We don't cook them, we don't eat them. Sometimes we boil them, but then we give them right back to the chickens. Now, their bodies are stressed because they were bred to constantly lay, which is much more than would be in nature. An average chicken in nature would lay maybe 12 eggs a year, something like that. But these have all been bred to lay every single day. So their bodies are completely worn out. And it's just amazing to me how well these hens are doing. Many of them have been with us for many years. They're approaching probably 8 to 10 years. And then we have some younger ones as well too. But when you give them a good life, the vegan good life, of course, and treat them well, you can help them live for a long time. And they are just all so sweet. This one here is Snow Owl. She was a school hatching project. There were all these chickens that were hatched in an incubator. And, it's like a classroom project. I wrote to the school and said, hey, we have something called the internet now. You don't need to actually do that. So we ended up taking in those hens. We only have a couple left from that, and that was about 6 or 7 years ago. Hi, Davy. This little guy here was carried off by a bobcat one day, and my dog, Koan, chased the bobcat down and rescued him and brought him back, and he lives to this day. Okay, I think my cake is ready. Knife came out clean. Ooh. So right around here you can see the caramelized sugar sort of bubbling up. And we're gonna flip this upside down. We're just gonna let it cool for a few minutes before we do that so it doesn't fall apart. All right, I think it's cool enough to flip over, so this is the moment of truth. Flip it over. Oh, remove the parchment paper ever so delicately. Oh my gosh, how does that look? This is one of my favorite cakes, and as you saw, it is so easy to make. Made with olive oil and almonds, it's relatively healthy as well. You can mix it up, in the spring you can use fresh berries, in the summer peaches or nectarines, in the fall apples or pears, so you can keep it fresh and new throughout the seasons. I just happen to have some vanilla thyme ice cream in the freezer that I made. And so this goes so beautifully with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. This is vanilla thyme. It's a fantastic flavor. So I'm going to just serve that alongside my Pear Almond Torte Tatin. All right, let me have a bite. So delicate, so buttery, even though there's no butter in it. It's just made with olive oil. So moist. That is a delicious cake. If you have any ideas on recipes that you'd like me to make, dishes that you're interested in, leave a comment below and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining me again in my kitchen on The Vegan Good Life with Miyoko, and I'll see you again soon.